right. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Darlington Nuclear Generating Station. I am so pleased to be here with our Premier, Doug Ford, Minister Oosterhoff, as well as Lorne Coe, Patrice Barnes, and Will Boma, as well as Mayor Foster and the CEO of OPG, Nicole Butcher. And congratulations, Nicole, on assuming this role officially. Now, we're here to lay out our plan, to leverage our province's advantage, our clean, affordable energy advantage, as Ontario and Canada face the threat of tariffs from the incoming Trump administration. An energy advantage that uniquely positions our province, not just to power our own growth, but to continue to be a strong partner for neighboring jurisdictions, if they're willing to work with us. Because under our government, we are building for the future, focused on affordability and reliability. A system that today powers good jobs and economic prosperity on both sides of the border. A system that is connected through 12 transmission lines and numerous pipelines with U.S. jurisdictions from New York to Minnesota. A system that in 2023 sent more than 12 terawatt hours of electricity to our U.S. neighbors, essentially the equivalent of 7.5% of our province's entire generation that year alone. And that's a system that we are continuing to expand as energy demand soars here at home. It's why we've launched the largest competitive energy procurement in Canadian history. It's why we're building thousands of kilometers of new transmission lines. It's why we're here refurbishing and expanding our nuclear fleet on time and on budget. In fact, we were here just a few weeks ago to announce the completion of the refurbishment of Unit 4 at Darlington nearly 5 months ahead of schedule. And just yesterday with Sam, our government launched the largest energy efficiency program in Canadian history, all to reduce your energy bills. And that is Ontario's value proposition to the world as we build on time and on budget. And it's one that puts us in a unique position when it comes to exporting our nuclear advantage into the U.S. and to markets around the world. Ontario, as the Premier has mentioned, is a dependable democratic partner. In an increasingly volatile world, the choices before American friends are standing with Ontario or with regimes abroad that do not share our freedom-loving values. Because we know, our Premier knows, that confrontation and conflict does not lead to a better outcome for anyone. And the Premier of Ontario is standing up for Ontarians and for all Canadians, for our jobs, for our supply chain and Canadian economic interests. Today's plan reaffirms that our Premier and government desire to build bridges and for generations of prosperity for Americans and Ontarians alike. And with that, please welcome the man with the vision and the plan to protect our economy, Ontario's Premier, Doug Ford. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone, and it's a real pleasure to be here today alongside Minister Lecce, Minister Oosterhoff, and MPP Patrice Barnes and Lorne Coe and Will Boma, which is my parliamentary assistant for intergovernmental affairs. And Will, I know you've been busy, but before I begin, I want to acknowledge the Boilermakers, all the team here at OPG, and I want to congratulate Nicole for being the CEO of the Ontario Power Generation. That's a big job, and my champion, Mayor Foster, as well. Mayor, you're hiding back there. But I'll tell you, he's an absolute champion, and a big thank you to an incredible team at the Ontario Power Generation for hosting us at their Darlington nuclear facility, and for the critical work they do day in and day out, powering our province. Thank you. Friends, in less than 2 weeks, a new administration will take office in the White House. This transition marks a pivotal moment for both Canada and the United States. That's why, over the past few months, I've been meeting with congressmen and women, U.S. senators, and governors from every region of America across both sides of the political aisle. I've promoted Ontario's close economic partnership with the United States, a relationship built on nearly $500 billion in balanced two-way trade, and have raised concerns about the 25% tariffs President Trump is threatening on goods and services entering the U.S. from Canada. These tariffs would be devastating for both of our economies. They disrupt deeply integrated supply chains, create massive uncertainty for investors, raise costs for businesses, and put countless jobs at risk on both sides of the border. It doesn't have to be this way. We can achieve so much more if we work together, and Canada needs to do its part. First, we need the federal government to invest in our military to meet and exceed our NATO funding commitments. Second, the federal government needs to turn words into actions by implementing its border security plan. This needs to include permanent funding increases for the RCMP, the Canada Border Services Agency, to put more boots at the border. And we need highly visible activity to give our U.S. allies the confidence they need that we're doing our part. Ontario is also stepping up. Yesterday, we launched Operation Deterrence, our plan to crack down on illegal cross-border activities. Led by 200 dedicated Ontario provincial police officers, they'll work alongside frontline and specialty officers with access to drones, helicopters, fixed-wing aircraft, boats, off-road vehicles, and foot patrol, all dedicated to protecting the safety and security of families and communities on both sides of the border. As I've met and talked with U.S. lawmakers, I've also been listening. I've heard significant concerns about how China is ripping off American workers by hijacking global supply chains to unfairly benefit Chinese companies at the expense of U.S. industry and American communities. I've heard loud and clear, America has had enough. Now, U.S. lawmakers are undertaking one of the most ambitious economic and geopolitical shifts in decades, as America decouples from China and its global proxies. This won't be easy. It will require long-term thinking, it will require dedication, and most of all, it will require friends and allies. Canada's here to help. Working together, Canada and the U.S. can be the richest, most successful, safest, most secure countries on the planet. Working together, we can usher in a new American and Canadian century. A time of unprecedented growth, job creation, security, and prosperity. We do so by building Fortress AMCAN. Fortress AMCAN is a renewed alliance between America and Canada that's a beacon of stability, security, and long-term economic growth on both sides of the border. Fortress AMCAN is a vision that respects each country as proudly independent, a vision that celebrates what we can achieve together, a true partnership where Canada and the U.S. align on shared priorities, achieving free, fair, and balanced trade, growing our economies, accelerating resource development, and protecting our borders and our communities. A cornerstone of Fortress AMCAN, this renewal alliance involves achieving energy security to power economic growth on both sides of the border. Ontario is already taking bold steps. We're leading North America's largest expansion of nuclear energy, including the first small modular reactor in the G7. We're refurbishing reactors at Darlington and Pickering, and we're launching historic energy procurements to meet growing demand while preparing Ontario to become a major exporter of clean energy. Already, our energy grid sends enough electricity to power 1.5 million homes in the U.S., including states like Michigan, New York, and Minnesota. But to build Fortress AMCAN, to realize this vision, there's more work to do. Fortress AMCAN should be powered by energy of every type. Energy that's produced, consumed, and creates jobs in every region of our country. It starts by enhancing and building out the integrated AMCAN energy and electricity grid to encourage more exports of Canadian energy and electricity to the U.S., including Ontario's clean nuclear energy to power economic growth on both sides of the border. To do so, I'm urging the federal government, U.S. lawmakers, and industry experts to join us in a new cross-border working group with the objective of cutting red tape and aligning the regulations that slow down building cross-border energy infrastructure, including transmission lines and pipelines, and to ensure both countries adhere to the best practices for power system security, protecting us against foreign interference, cyber attacks, terrorism, and extreme weather events. I'm also urging the federal government to help us achieve AMCAN energy security sooner by streamlining the approval of new small modular and large nuclear reactors while protecting safe operations. As we do, we also need to build new and reinforce existing electricity transmission lines and the natural gas and oil pipelines that underpin our integrated energy and electricity grid and promote the flow of energy across borders. With these measures, we can power our economic growth, including new power-hungry data centers and artificial intelligence with clean and reliable energy, fueling economic growth across Canada and America while creating better jobs with bigger paychecks here at home. Friends, Fortress AMCAN is an ambitious plan. It won't be easy and it won't happen overnight, but we owe it to workers in Ontario, across Canada, and the US to act now. Many of these initiatives will require the federal government to step up to ensure that energy, trade, and security policies serve the best interests of Canadians and Americans alike. We will do what we can as a province, but the federal government will need to do their part too. Together, let's stop wasting time and ridiculous ideas about merging and instead focus on efforts on restoring the pride of Made in Canada and Made in USA. Let's be unapologetic as we stand up for Canadian and American workers against the world. Together, let's usher in a new American and Canadian century. Let's build Fortress AMCAN. Thank you for everyone joining us today, and may God bless the people of Ontario.
We will now open the floor for questions from the media. Please come to the mic and state your name and outlet. Just a reminder, it's one question and one follow-up. First question.
Good morning, Premier. Mark McAllister from City News.
Hi, Mark. How you doing?
A lot of talk from you today about Canada as a whole rather than Ontario specifically. Just wondering why you feel the need to step up and speak on behalf of the entire country.
Well, right now, I've been blessed to be the chair